A very good evening. Welcome to UBC News Tonight, our very fast edition. My name is Moureen Babirye with my colleague Mohammed Mogalu on sign language. In our first report, President Yoweri Museveni has called for increased value addition and entrepreneurship to strengthen Uganda's export base. He was speaking during the award ceremony for 6 outstanding entrepreneurs who have contributed to Uganda's economic growth and industrial transformation. The awards were presented during the Mustard Seed Awards 2025 at Africa Coffee Park in Tungamo District. Take a look.
The event, organized by Inspire Africa Coffee, marked 40 years of growth and formed part of the President's third inspection visit to the Africa Coffee Park, a 150-acre industrial hub, expected to become one of the largest coffee processing and value addition centers in Eastern and Central Africa.
We thank you for enabling His Excellency to address over 140 rallies around the country. Among the award recipients were Jennifer Mwijuche, Chief Executive Officer of Unifreight Cargo Handling Limited, Ao Zhang, Managing Director and Chairman of Liao Zheng Industrial Park, Idra Taban, Chief Executive Officer of Zero Waste, and Barack Oland, Chief Executive Officer of Bar Aviation.
Members, considering that this is going to be an annual award.
Addressing the guests, President Museveni, who was accompanied by the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni, congratulated the awardees and praised Uganda's improving export performance.
People to Africans to start gaining knowledge again of how society should be. So I want to salute to Gume and his colleagues, and we have given them all the support and we shall give them more support.
He said the country's export earnings have for the first time surpassed the import bill, attributing the progress to value addition. The president encouraged Ugandans to focus on entrepreneurship, describing it as the key driver that coordinates land, labor, and capital in production.
And if you see, the imports to Uganda are getting less and less. For the first time, our export earnings are more than our import bill. We have got a surplus. Factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is recognized in all economics. But so an entrepreneur is a coordinator of the factors of production.
President Museveni cited global comparisons to emphasize the need for productivity and industrialization, saying Africa must convert its natural wealth into economic strength.
That's why the GDP of Africa is laughable. Africa is a land which is 12 times the size of India. You can put India into Africa 12 times. You can put the United States of America into Africa 4 times. And now our population is now 1.5 billion people. But our GDP is only 3 trillion, the whole of Africa, $3 trillion.
In her remarks, the First Lady, Mama Janet Museveni, applauded Inspire Africa Coffee for its job creation potential, saying the investment has opened a new path for growth in the coffee sector.
Mwebale kutatushwaza kandi mwebale kuhereza mzeyo muhimbo akamanya ngo abantu ngamo muryaha mumuheira karura keino mutsindo mwebale mwebare nerizoba kwija abantu bengi muti mwebare mwena ruhanga twaire omugisha ngu tugaruke tutandike busya okuhereza abantu ba Uganda hati twena twine kwezirika busya rero tukahereza abantu ba Uganda rero ruhanga izina rye rikahebwa ekitiinisa mwebare mukama bampera omugisha.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Taiwa thanked the people of Ntungamo for their strong electoral support and described it as a reflection of public confidence in the president's leadership.
Ukaba noreba hare hati mbwenu rebe bijume birugiremo byihangere ntukuraganisa ngunka parliament ntuza kweyonja tukusupportinge kandi ni manyaji project necendo buyambe buhango nitukushaba ngo yongero giteke mamani ekiwatandikire tukimaririze ihanga ryitu ritunguke kurungi.
Minister for Presidency Millie Babalanda credited the president's wealth creation philosophy for empowering Ugandans to participate meaningfully in national development.
Through Inspire Africa and the Africa Coffee Park, Ugandan coffee has moved from the smallholder farms of Buganda, Ankole, Bugisu, and Kigezi to the shelves of Turkey, the United States, and China.
Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, hailed government support for innovation, saying scientific research is increasingly translating into economic results.
Well, how we interpreted the guidance you gave us, that we take ideas, we take knowledge, and we take it through creation of products, translating those ideas into products, and we take those products into building manufacturing facilities, and then we build businesses to distribute those so that we can have an impact on the economy.
In his remarks, Inspire Africa Coffee Chief Executive Officer Nelson Tugume thanked President Museveni for supporting the project, describing it as a major milestone in his journey as a second-generation coffee farmer.
Your Excellency, I want to thank you before all these people and the media. If it wasn't you, this dream would not take shape.
The president later addressed a victory rally organized to celebrate his recent election win.
May God applaud thee,
The political changes that occurred in Uganda between 1966 to 1986 resulted into the decline of national institutions and infrastructure. The Ministry of Defense and particularly the Army were affected. The personnel in most of the arms of the forces were displaced, records destroyed, systems and operating procedures disorganized. When the NRM and A came into power in 1986, it was imperative of the leadership to build these systems from scratch. The vision and commitment has been to transform the UPDF into a modern, professional, efficient and accountable defense force. We have a report.
We, the NRA, for 17 years, were fighting no pay from 1971 up to 1987. No pay. Who's there to pay you? The Banyankole say, Chifucha mtuma, ngwenju yasya, atumunyarire mbyame. A man who was not very clever, he was told that your house is on fire. And then he said, oh, you people, you prepare the bed for me to sleep. Sleep where? Your house is on fire. So we had to fight with no pay. 17 years from 1971 to 1987. All we needed was food, the gun and the bullet. Clothes were optional. If you got them, you put them on. If you didn't, to go, the buttocks stay out. Somebody who is half naked can kill you also.
The political changes that occurred in Uganda between 1966 and 1986 resulted into the decline of national institutions and infrastructure. The Ministry of Defense, particularly the Army, was affected. The personnel in most of the arms of the forces were displaced, records destroyed, systems and operating procedures disorganized. These herald the collapse of the basic structures and infrastructure of the defense forces.
That what is happening today, or what has been happening in the last few days, is a mere change of guard. Because in Africa we have seen so much change that change has become meaningless.
By the time we captured Kampala, Kampala was just I think 5 hills. It was Kororo, Rubaga, Namirembe, and where is Makerere and Nakasiru. I had a detach at Mukwano industry there. It was a bush. These criminals who used to escape there, to hide there and kill people.
When the NRM came into power in 1986, it became imperative of the leadership to rebuild these systems from scratch. The vision and commitment has been to transform UPDF into a modern, professional, efficient, and accountable defense force.
What I would call phase one was building a national, conscious army. We had armies before, as you know. King's African Rifles, Uganda Army, UNLA. What made them fail? Lack of ideological conviction. So, having learned from our past, we decided to build an army based on ideology. Patriotism, Pan-Africanism, democracy, and social transformation. That you cannot be an army in a country which is poor and you expect to be stable. As an army, you must have a stable country that is growing economically.
Today, they speak the language of nationalism, Pan-Africanism, development, and not destruction of their own country and the livelihoods of their own brothers and sisters.
That's how we're able to build an army for the country. I trained 28 boys in Mozambique. Some of them were recruited by Otafire here, by Mbabazi, and others I recruited them directly. 28 boys in Mozambique, 1976 to 1978. There were other groups who had trained, but they had not come out well. But these ones, 28 boys, are the ones who built NRA. Because when the war started, in 1978, I came with them up to the border, to the front line. I arrived on the front line on December 23rd, 1978. And we started recruiting some Bachiga Bapakasi workers in Tanzania on the other side. So you come and fight for your country. We trained them. By the time we crossed into Uganda, on the 11th of February, 1979, we had 200 already.
However, to achieve the transformation agenda, the need to bring people on board was vital to build a pro-people army.
2, that the population must be with you. Minus the population, you are like fish out of water. So we built that first, the mind. Then we acquired the material later. But first we dealt with the mind. Just like now with the PDM, the Party Development Model. Unless you deal with the mind, it won't succeed. There must be mindset change of the citizens. So we dealt with dealing with the mindset change of those who came in uniform.
By the time we crossed into Uganda, on the 11th of February, 1979, we had 200 already. 28 had produced 200. Then we went to a place called Ngarama. Ngarama is in Isingiro now. Put a camp there. By the time Amin collapsed in April 11th, we had 9,000 fighters. So that's what I've been telling you. Some of our friends, why can't you build capacity? These were not being paid. Because we were telling them, who is to pay you? Your country is on fire. You defend it, and then we shall pay will come when it is ready.
In line with the broader notion of security to which Uganda subscribes, the defense review process was a cross-government initiative. The Ministry of Defense led the process in close collaboration with other government departments and agencies, the UPDF, Parliament, academia, and members of the civil society. This resulted in the formation of the Comprehensive Defense Policy. The defense policy represented a collective assessment of the security challenges facing the nation. The basic message in this white paper was that an integrated approach is required to address Uganda's security concerns. The approach was to effectively make use of all policy instruments available to government, of which defense had a central role to play.
Then, having stabilized the country, the economy has stabilized, we did a defense review, 2004 if you remember, which culminated into the defense white paper of 2004, that identified the 15 different security threats of the country. Having identified the security threats, therefore, we began professionalization.
The white paper laid out the challenges of transforming the defense forces to achieve their missions effectively. This was an ambitious undertaking that required the understanding and support of all stakeholders, including the public, wider government, and development partners. It is this principle that underpins the publication and wide circulation of this white paper. The defense review involved 4 phases of work. 1, a comprehensive assessment of Uganda's security environment. 2, a review of both defense and security policies. 3, examination and costing of operational and non-operational defense requirements. And 4, the development of a strategy for defense transformation. But what entailed transforming UPDF to a professional army?
To build an effective, efficient, accountable national defense force. It's when you build those 4 that now you are able to become international. Nationally, you have become effective, efficient, you are accountable, you are democratic. Then you can be able to export peace elsewhere.
If you really, each one does his work or her work, your country will develop very fast. And therefore, you should audit whatever you are doing. Maybe I will sit down and again write, because we had talked about this before, but what I will do, I will sit down and then write out, of course, this division of labor, who does what. I have written about it before, but I can do it again so that everybody is clear, just for emphasis, to know what he or she is supposed to contribute.
At the time the regime was faced with instabilities accounting for the influx of refugees, Uganda was not exclusive to the menace. UNHCR reports of 1974 to 86 kept on topping Uganda as the net exporter of refugees to the regional member states, an issue that the Defense White Paper of 2004 took serious for regional stability and transforming the army.
We knew, first of all, we used to be net exporters of refugees. So we understood the weakness of instability, the disease of instability on the continent. And so we were committed not only to building stability at home, but stability across the continent. Because we believe what's good for us, good for them as well.
Transforming UPDF to an international force to be relied on in international peacekeeping missions required convincing other African countries on the need to have regional stability before having an all-inclusive United Africa government.
And then we believe that you cannot build a continent that is stable unless regions have become stable. And that's where, you remember, the disagreement with the late Gaddafi was on that. Gaddafi wanted an African Union now, an African government now. And our president and some others were saying, let's start from regions and build the whole continent.
Having transformed UPDF from a professional national army to a now international force, of late is known for exporting peace to volatile countries like Somalia, Burundi, South Sudan, Equatorial Guinea, among others, as its trademark.
So we have built an army from that guerrilla army that survived on the ideology and support of the people, grew to build the capacity to export peace. Most importantly, with stability at home and support of the population.
However, the process to a complete transformation of UPDF is still underway, with the elimination of uneducated officers from the army.
But why should they be? Since when did we start UPE? 1996. The other day I met a captain who is doing a PhD. He's a graduate of UPE. He's now doing a PhD. A captain of the army. So, you who has not gone to school, where have you been? When there's universal primary education, there is universal secondary education. So that's why we are saying minimum senior 4.
I asked Brigadier General Kulaije whether it's difficult to find a zero-class UPDF soldier currently.
No, of course they are there, those who are joined 20, 30 years ago. Those are there. But the new generation, definitely not.
But how are you going to aid the illiterate soldiers still in the army, enjoying the privilege of historical members of the NRA that gave birth to the professional UPDF?
Time is aging us out. We are retiring, So you don't have to push anybody out. Time is doing its job. I mean, if somebody joined in 1982, 83, those have already since retired. Those who have joined later, like us of 85, 86, others have begun retiring as well, depending on the rank you are on. So the beauty of universal education is that now we actually send away.
Despite the ongoing process to professionalize UPDF was the biggest problem that you still deal with in the army to conclude your mission of building an effective, efficient force.
In my view, we have done what it requires in terms of personnel, in terms of equipment. The remaining challenge, soldiers' welfare, housing, education for the children is being done. Health, we are completing a referral hospital now, a national military referral hospital in Mbuya here.
So in your case, we are not saying work for no pay. Work, the pay is there. Maybe it is not much, but there are ways in which we can secure your future in cost-effective ways. And because we are not fearing numbers, then we can recruit enough numbers. We can recruit enough numbers.
Timothy Spasi, UBC.
Thank you, Timothy Sabasi, for that detailed report. Now, from dusty Maram roads to smooth express highways, from Candleat homes to powered industries, Uganda's development story is being rewritten in concrete, steel and power lines. In the infrastructure revolution, roads connect farmers to markets, dams power industries, whereas airports open Uganda to the world as bridges turn distance into opportunity. This is how infrastructure became the backbone of Uganda since the NRA, also NRM, liberated Uganda 40 years ago.
For decades, Uganda's promise was slowed by distance. Markets were far, energy was scarce, and opportunity was uneven. But brick by brick, road by road, and dam by dam, a quiet revolution began.
In the real sense of the word, this road was bad. But today, the story is different, and leaders say the success of this has been due to commitment by all stakeholders, including locals.
Currently, Uganda's road network tells a story of struggle, from impassable routes, high transport costs, and broken supply chains. Today, paved highways link farmers to markets, reduce travel time, and integrate once remote regions into the national economy.
Yesterday when I was coming to Kapchora, I was used to the muddy road. And so this time the road was very smooth in that I slept and found myself at the border of Kenya. So I just slept all the way to the border of Kenya, and then I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to stop in Queen. I could see on the road transportation, fusos, lorries loading matoke, loading Irish potato.
No economy can grow without power. For years, energy shortages stalled Uganda's industrial ambition. Hydropower unlocked manufacturing, mining and agro-processing, turning potential into productivity.
You know, Africans have been divided into groupings, which we call them countries. These countries are administered differently. And when they are divided differently, we must always have in mind that we are one. And whatever is available in the other country should be shared by others in a mutual agreements.
Airports are a nation's handshake with the world. For Uganda, aviation infrastructure redefined tourism, trade, and global connectivity. With modern terminals and improved safety systems, Uganda opened new routes for investors, tourists, and exporters.
These routes, when we do them, we don't only do them for business, but also is a connection with people, because air transport is the fastest means of transport.
The discovery of oil demanded more than wells. It required infrastructure on a national scale. Once isolated communities now sit at the crossroads of national transformation.
Uganda is also one of the largest exporters of food and other commodities to Kenya now. So we will also be using the train backwards to the port while we're exporting our products out of the country. And this will also make our exports cheaper.
Infrastructure reshaped daily life. Farmers can reach markets faster. Tourists do travel deeper into Uganda's natural heart, and rural towns have evolved into economic hubs.
In the future, it will be good if our airlines also thought about mostly cargo transport, so that some of these commodities are brought direct as cargo, and also when a road transport becomes more easy, it would be the best market for my fish.
Infrastructure is not an end, it is a foundation. Under Vision 2040, Uganda aims to become a middle-income country anchored by modern transport, energy, and industrial systems. Vision 2040 prioritizes infrastructure because it multiplies growth across sectors, industry, services, and human development.
Recently, we had a good discussion with the Minister of Finance, and we hope that they will be able to understand that's not a question of developing roads and constructing new roads all the time without looking at maintenance. Because if we don't do that, if we don't grow the budget in maintenance, then whatever we are developing will deteriorate even before the time.
Beyond Uganda's borders, infrastructure has fueled integration. Highways, pipelines, and railways continue to link East Africa into a single economic space.
Now, if you know the map of Uganda, once you get by rail to Pakwach, then you have got another God-made highway, Lake Albert and the Nile, which can take you all the way up to Ntoroko. So you can actually go from Mombasa by rail and water all the way to Fort Portal almost.
The infrastructure revolution is more than just concrete and steel. It is about opportunity, equity, and preparing a nation for generations yet to come. And Uganda is not just building roads, it is building its future. Henry Okrut, UBC.
We'll now take a short commercial break and return with more news.
Welcome home to entertainment, to Wi-Fi everywhere, to high-speed internet, to security, to first-class support. To convenience. Welcome home to MTN WakaNet, superior internet for every home. Visit www.mtn.co.ug/WakaNet. Welcome home. Together, we are unstoppable.
This is our home, our land, our Uganda. From the rolling hills to the busy streets, from the farmers in the fields to the students in classrooms, we are one people. Elections are a time to choose our leaders, not to fight our brothers and sisters. When violence enters the ballot box, the future of our country is wounded. But when peace leads the way, our nation grows stronger. On election day, choose unity over diversion, respect over hatred, and dialogue over distraction. Love your country, protect your fellow citizens, stand for peace, and say no to electoral violence. This message is brought to you by the Global Election Observation Mission, GEOM, in partnership with the Uganda Electoral Commission. Informed citizens, strong nation.
Unisteel Investment Uganda Limited, shaping the future of steel in East Africa and beyond. With an investment of over $100 million and a production capacity of 300,000 metric tons per annum, Unisteel is setting new standards in steel manufacturing. At our state-of-art facility, we produce TMX rebars, branded Unis TMX 500 CWR, and high-quality wire rods using only imported virgin steel billets. Every batch is tested and tracked for unmatched quality assurance. Our steel powers the region's most ambitious projects, from dams, skyscrapers, to bridges and beyond. Unisteel, superior quality, trustworthy choice.
Special announcement. The NRM Secretariat wishes to sincerely appreciate all Ugandans for re-electing President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and majority of NRM parliamentary flag bearers in the recent concluded elections to lead the country for the next 5 years. As we continue to celebrate their attained victory, the NRM Secretariat also wishes to remind all Ugandans and the general public that elections for the district chairpersons, Kampala Lord Mayor, mayors and councillors will take place on Thursday, the 22nd of January 2026, while voting for the municipality, city division chairpersons and councillors will be held on the 27th of January 2026 across the country. Let us stand up and vote to assert our choices as we protect our gains. Long live President Museveni, long live NRM. This message is brought to you by the NRM Secretariat.
The Ministry of Works and Transport, in collaboration with the Uganda Police Force, is rolling out the mandatory motor vehicle inspection services as one of the interventions to improve road safety, protect the environment, and safeguard the health and well-being of the public. The key items for inspections are the braking system, suspension system, the lighting system, the exhaust emissions, and the general mechanical conditions of the vehicles, among others. The exercise has commenced for all government vehicles, public service vehicles PSVs, operating on fixed routes with route charts, private omnibuses PMOs, tourist vehicles, and those as may be referred by the Uganda Police Force in a dangerous mechanical condition. Other categories including private vehicles, light omnibuses, taxis, trucks and motorcycles will begin on a date to be communicated by the Minister of Works and Transport. The vehicle inspection centers are Kawanda on Bombo Road and Namamve on Jinja Road for motorcycles, light and heavy vehicles, Nabingo on Masaka Road and Namulanda on Entebbe Road for motorcycles and light vehicles. Mbale, Gulu and Bara inspection centers are for all categories of vehicles. The inspection fees have been significantly reduced to ensure compliance. Get your vehicles ready for inspection. Safer vehicles, safer road users, safer journeys. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Works and Transport.
Welcome back from the break. UBC News Tonight continues. The visiting United Kingdom distinguished author and environmentalist Stanley Johnson, also father to former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, has completed his second day in Uganda, where he is on the invitation of Uganda High Commissioner in the UK, Her Excellency Nimisha Madvani. Take a look.
Day 2 of Stanley Johnson's visit started at the Kasubi Tombs, which is the burial ground of 4 Buganda Kingdom Kabakas. The site remains an important spiritual and political site for the Baganda people, as well as an example of traditional architecture. Here, he was taken through the history of the Buganda Kingdom and the importance of these Kasubi tombs, which are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
I'm amazed to have come here today to what I'm told is the largest grass thatch hut in the whole world. That by itself is extraordinary. But to hear the history also of the Kabakas of Buganda, this is just amazing. And we've been taken today in a most brilliant intellectual, historical and aesthetic tour of this astonishing place. I think I know, really, I feel that the sense of history is extraordinary and so good, so wonderful and so appropriate that in 2001 this place was selected as the UNESCO World Heritage Center.
After the Kasubi tombs, he toured the King's Palace at Lubiri, where he visited the armory that was constructed by the Israelites, but later turned into a torture chamber by Idi Amin. He concluded the day with a guided tour around the Uganda Matters Shrine Namugongo. He got first-hand information about the church and especially the Uganda Matters, whose story portrays the linkage between the church and the Buganda Kingdom.
I am knocked over. I am just astonished. I feel literally we've been walking in the steps, I think, of Pope Francis, who came across this bridge. And here we are at this extraordinary place, which is the place of the martyrs. The place of the martyrs, there were 23 Protestant martyrs, 22 Catholic martyrs, and the whole world comes here year after year. I'm told that 1 million people come here to celebrate, to reflect, to commemorate this extraordinary event. So for me, it's been a very moving time to be here, to realize that so many things came together. You had the missionaries who came here wanting to spread Christianity, whether it was Catholic Christianity or Protestant Christianity. You had the Kabaka, who had his own set of priorities, his own traditions.
He is here on the invitation of the Uganda High Commissioner in the UK, Her Excellency Nimisha Madvani.
First of all, permit me to thank the people of Uganda for choosing peace to protect the gain. And because of that reason, we are able to bring a guest. If we hadn't chosen peace, no one would accept to come to Uganda. Thank you, people of Uganda, for voting wisely. Yes, from our perspective as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, especially missions abroad, who are mandated to promote Uganda as a preferred destination for tourism and investments, it's really a great pleasure that when we got here, the team here were very organized. Thanks to the Catholic Church for having this place, preserving it and beautifying it, making it worthwhile, bringing a guest from all the way from England to come over here. We are so grateful to Mr. Stanley, who has decided to come and explore Uganda in order to make, to publish a lot of good stories about the country. He said he knew so much about the country, but he wanted to have a feel of it firsthand.
On Monday, he will be one of the invited guests at the NRM Liberation celebrations at Kololo before embarking on a countrywide tour.
The Member of Parliament representing older persons in northern Uganda, Catherine Akumo Mavenjina, has hailed President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for nurturing a disciplined army that has upheld peace and dignity of Ugandans. Mavenjina made the remarks during the Golden Jubilee celebration of Sir Dr. Rosemary Nyirumbe of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Sisters. The Thanksgiving Mass was led by the Bishop of Lida Diocese, Right Reverend Santos Lino Wanok, at the Namugongo Catholic Martyrs Basilica. Representing the Catholic Women Guild in Uganda, Mary Assumpta Gidudu commended Sa Nyirumbe for her devotion to the vulnerable persons.
Years. It can never be easy to walk alone for 50 years. It can never be a journey you can accomplish even 1 kilometer. As you always say, following the psalmist who say, one day in the house of the Lord is better than 1,000 elsewhere. This is what we are thanking God for. I have repeated over and over again that the 50 years just came by. I didn't count them. I didn't know they were coming forth. It was all about doing what I have to do and on a daily basis. I always wanted to be committed to do the little I can do. I knew there was nothing much I could do, especially in conflict situations, because all my life I have worked in conflict situations. Moyo, there was a conflict going on. People want to give credit to my government. His Excellency Yoweri Museveni brought for us soldiers who are sensible, soldiers who can look after us. They can only turn when you provoke them, but usually they are very gentle. And so we want to thank our government for the peace which has been ushered in the country and for the respect of human beings. And I want to congratulate my baby sister, Sister Rosemary, and her colleague for having served God faithfully. 50 years is not a small work. 50 years is a big achievement. And also the Silver Jubilee, Jubilarian, together with all the Sacred Heart Sisters, for all the effort you have put in the services of God. I want to thank Paida Association, where Sister Rosemary comes from, for the tremendous effort they put in. They also mobilized enough resources and handed to the COC.
Every vocation begins with a choice. 50 years ago, Sister Rosemary, with the friends seated before us, made that choice. Not in the comfort, not in safety, but in faith. They don't know what will come, but in faith they moved. They chose the Lord and kept choosing Him every day.
In other news, the former presidential candidate and president of the Revolutionary People's Party, RPP, leader Frank Kabinga, has started a countrywide tour to appreciate the people of Uganda for the support accorded to him during the recently concluded presidential elections. The tour started off from Luwero, Busukuma, where he visited the grave of late Dr. Aggrey Chiyingi.
Frank Bulira Kabinga, who finished in the 5th position in the concluded general elections, has launched a nationwide appreciation drive to thank voters. Bulira made his first visit to the burial site of the late Dr. Aggrey Chiyingi, whom he refers to as the godfather of his political career. He later proceeded to Bugiri municipality, where he campaigned for the RPP candidate Lucas Mukisa, who is contesting for town council mayor. During the presidential and parliamentary campaigns, Frank Bulira conducted only 2 campaign rallies in the whole span. Lubwama, UBC News.
Now, the born-again Christians and well-wishers converged to Canaan Land in Kawempe Division to celebrate 15 years of House of Prayer Ministries International. The lead pastor Aloysius Bujingo implored the Christians to set targets in this new year.
The ministry, which began its gospel outreach at Bat Valley Primary School, has since acquired permanent land in Chikoni, popularly known as Canaan Land, where it plans to build a church and other facilities.
When God sends you, don't look at yourself as a small person. I'm not big at all, I don't qualify, but He qualified me. When God qualifies you, have confidence, have faith, do not be intimidated, keep going. The message that we shared today was about Prophet Nehemiah. And Nehemiah was intimidated, was ridiculed, but he did not accept their insults. He did not accept their demeaning. He instead prayed to God and worked hard.
Lead Pastor Aloysius Bujingo commended government for guaranteeing freedom of worship and urged Ugandans to work hard for national development.
It is 24th. We started on 24th January 2011. We have made 15 years by the grace of God. We want to thank God for the freedom of worship in this wonderful nation of Uganda. We want to thank God for the Constitution of Uganda and for the good leadership guided by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Kaliro Woman MP Brenda Namukuta praised the church for promoting faith and supporting poverty eradication programs.
I would like to thank people of House of Prayer, specifically our Pastor Bujingo, for having a good sermon to our people, for having a good word, the word of wisdom, word of knowledge, a word of empowerment that he teaches people not just to pray, but also to work for themselves, and also to encourage people to adhere to government programs, for example, the PDM, Emioga, and to love this government and to be patriotic in this government.
Unisteel Investment Uganda Limited, shaping the future of steel in East Africa and beyond. With an investment of over $100 million and a production capacity of 300,000 metric tons per annum, Unisteel is setting new standards in steel manufacturing. At our state-of-art facility, we produce TMX rebars, branded Unis TMX 500 CWR, and high-quality wire rods using only imported virgin steel billets. Every batch is tested and tracked for unmatched quality assurance. Our steel powers the region's most ambitious projects, from dams, skyscrapers, to bridges and beyond. Unisteel, superior quality, trustworthy choice.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
The NRM Entrepreneur League appreciates the peace and stability that has enabled them set up industries. As Uganda celebrates the 40th Liberation Day, the entrepreneurs say the NRA Liberation War has enabled Uganda's development. We have more in this report. As Uganda celebrates the 40th Liberation Day, the NRM Entrepreneur League congratulated President Museveni for Uganda's achievements. The chairman, Mityana District NRM Entrepreneur League, Yosam Ntejerize, says in the 40 years, The peace and stability has enabled investors build factories in areas outside towns, and as investors, they have also joined the education sector.
People were set free from oppression, from fear. And now as Ugandans, sincerely, we are okay the fact that Uganda has enough security. Uganda have developed in that we have improved road networks, hospitals, and other facilities.
Ntejerize, an investor in Mityana, was addressing a press conference at his Aliana Junior School, Rebihuro, in Mbarara City. He explained that since the 5-year NRA liberation war of the 80s, Luwero has also developed. He encouraged the youth to utilize the prevailing peace.
The best investor is that one who have invested in education. This was because when you invest in education, you are imparting a knowledge to the younger people. And it's those younger people who developed the community. Now, as Ariana Junior School, we have an impact, a positive impact that we have caused to the society.
Stakeholders in the education sector commended the NRM government for the conducive education policies. Now, Busoga Clan Leaders Executive has committed to lead in shaping the socio-economic transformation agenda for Busoga sub-region. The Commissioner for National Guidance, Jonah Jackson Bakalikwida, tasked the clan leaders to mobilize the communities for government programs for effective participation in development.
When it comes now to the values, you surrender your rights to the religious leaders, also who have their problems. Now, who should be the custodian of those values? It is this team. It is this team to be the custodians. And where there's everything fundamentally wrong, yet there's an opportunity for us to do our job. Services public, and you accept us to be your bosses. We do many things and you say, Commissioner, excuse me, values. Values. Why don't you bring it to order? So because of that gap, no wonder we are where we are. Bleeding. Did he leave the Kampala comfort? And where did he go? The jungles of Luwe. It's the jungles of Luwe. The rains, the sunshine that has caused us to enjoy today. So now also for us, as we are shaping the new agenda for Busoga, it's better that you are here. In this small room, we're concentrated. We are just parking.
And now that brings us to the end of our first edition of UBC News Tonight. Be sure to catch us at 10 p.m. for more news. My name is Moureen Babirye and my colleague Mohammed Mogalu in Sign Language. Goodbye for now.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Tusonge paka na jinja,